What's up, nerds? We are your hosts. I am Jake.
And I'm Chad.
This week we are sponsored by Ray's Energy Drinks.
We are also sponsored by Crybaby Craig's Hot Sauce.
This week we are going to be talking about Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3, now streaming on Disney Plus. We will also be talking about Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, now playing in theaters in your neighborhood.
And then on top of that, we will also be joined with Dave Morris, who is a fantastic dungeon master, to talk about Dungeons and Dragons before the movie hits theaters on March 31st. So, let's get into it. This is the All Things Nerd podcast.
Think.
Nerd.
Welcome back, nerds, to the All Things Nerd podcast, your weekly dive into all things nerd. Chadley, how was your week?
Well, I went to see Shazam
Oh,
with a couple
cool.
of friends, some very good friends.
Anyone I know?
You might know the girl.
Oh,
Her name is Nicole.
oh,
She's-
yeah, I do know her.
She's pregnant.
Alright. She pregnant.
uh, Outside of that, I mean, just like working. I gave myself food poisoning this week. Super not great, Cotton. And then just played a bunch of video games.
Noise.
Nice. What about you, Jacoby?
Well, obviously, I went and saw Shazam with you and
Yeah.
my girlfriend Nicole. The three of us went and saw it.
You were there.
I was there.
That makes it really awkward.
I started playing The Last of Us. I finally started playing it. There is so much gameplay that does not get translated through the TV show that I could spend some time talking about it, but I won't. Just go play it. It's really fun. It's really hard. And
I
it's really
ordered it.
scary.
It's on the
And
way.
it's really scary. I shut all the lights off. Nicole had her nieces over here the other night, and I was like, they're like girls' night, and I was like, cool. I'm gonna sit in the basement and play video games. And I shut all the lights off and started playing it, and fucking hell, it's scary. Uh,
Didn't you end up opening like a door and turning a light on,
I
like in
turned,
a side
I
room?
I left a light on, the bar light on, and
Oh, that's
then
what it
I
was.
left the laundry room light on because I was like, this corner of the basement is pretty scary. I'm gonna put some light in here. Yeah, it is really fun. It is a really fun game, and it's really fun to see the differences between the show and the game. I won't go into it, um, even though I feel like I probably should. This is not the episode for it because you haven't started playing it yet. Um, but it's different.
We should do a comparison once I
Yeah,
start playing it.
start
I
it. Yeah.
ordered it. It just hasn't arrived yet, so it
I
should be
will
here
I'll say
this
that
weekend.
the one thing I'll say is that the in the series, the time between picking up Ellie and getting to the capital, where, spoiler alert, one, two, three, you had enough time, Tess dies, is like one episode. And in the game, I am like hours into into the because like they tell you like, hey, you got to get her to the capital, and I'm like, okay, I know what's gonna happen there, and I've spent 2 days playing this game, and I haven't reached the capital yet. So it's a lot of time
Oh.
between those. Other than that,
Well, what's in the news, Jake?
well, one really big, fat, orange, greasy thing that is happening
Combed
is that
over thing, yeah.
yeah. Trump is expected to get arrested on Tuesday, and that
Which
makes my
means that
penis
the well,
happy.
I'm glad that it makes the stand-up citizen uh If you guys aren't watching
Dude, nice
Shrinking,
reference.
yeah.
It took me a second,
If you
but I
guys
got
aren't watching Shrinking, that might not click. So safety dick. Uh,
oh, and then click, and they're called clickers and The Last of Us. There's a lot of references happening here.
I'm on fucking fire.
You're on
Uh,
fire, yeah. Balls back, bro.
yeah. Uh, no, but hope, yeah, hopefully. I like wanted to stop myself because normally we don't want to like project, but like this is hopefully when this episode comes out, that piece of shit is in jail.
Yeah. More exciting in the nerd world.
Yeah. Zack Snyder is being kind of cryptic.
Mhm.
He's put out a couple of tweets and social media posts about some sort of announcement that's coming. Is it late April? Oh, like coming. That's so gross. Called me Hyman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yes. And the cool part about it is that the announcement is in I forget it. Now I feel like a jerk. The
let's
guy who
find.
played
Keep
yeah.
talking slowly, and I'll look it up.
The guy who plays Darkseid's voice in the Snyderverse is the one announcing this. It says Lord Darkseid is coming. Look forward to these dates, which are the end of April. Um, we I Nobody knows what's happening. And then there was another tweet today where Zack Snyder tweeted the DCU logo with those same dates. What does this mean? We have no fucking clue. Hopefully it means that he's finishing the Snyderverse. I doubt it's going to be live action if he does. Um, Maybe a cartoon, maybe it's in comic book form. Uh, who knows? Chad still
Also,
is looking.
oh my god, because whoever voiced Darkseid is so far down on the Ray Porter. That's who
Ray
voiced him.
Porter, I should have known that. Damn it. Yeah. But yeah. So we don't know what that is. We will keep you guys up to date as we figure it out. Hopefully
Also,
it
check our
means
social medias because, like, this is
yeah.
a big thing. So as we learn more, uh, we will try. No promises. We will try to put out little updates.
Yeah. I hope it's something in the works of finishing what he started.
I
Don't
do
know.
too. Also, in nerd news, talk about your favorite. Nah, that's setting you up for failure. I'm sorry. Talk about the Marvels and the news with that.
Oh, I just steamrolled this one with Ray Porter. You go.
Okay. So supposedly, uh, there's been issues on set for the Marvels.
But why?
For why, you might ask? It's because I guess Brie Larson is just being a dickhead on set and like causing issues. And sorry, my dog is being really annoying. I don't know if you can hear her.
Can't.
Stop.
Can't hear. Not on my headphones anyway.
Cool. Then hopefully no one else did, except for me yelling at her. Uh, but supposedly, according to some insiders, Brie Larson is causing a stinkowitz, if you will, on the set of the Marvels, to the
Yeah.
point where it might get delayed yet again,
Yeah.
because she's
Just being a butthead.
being a butthead
Just being
and
a straight up butthead.
telling her castmates that like she's the star, even though it's
Mhm.
called the Marvels and not
Yeah.
Captain Marvel. And there's also a Miss Marvel, and also like if she probably cared about the source material, like Monica Rambeau also
Yeah.
becomes like
That
Captain Marvel at some point in
that
time, but
the
also
act
like acts as
that's the big thing is the actress that plays Monica Rambeau and Brie Larson are the ones butting heads.
and oh my god, I should have looked this up also, because I don't want to butcher her name.
I know. Yeah.
Uh,
Also, I've read, I don't know this for
uh,
sure.
Tiana. Probably it's
Tiana.
probably pronounced Tiana, spelt differently. Tiana Paris
Yeah.
um, is who plays Monica and Brie
And then
Larson
the girl playing Kamala Khan is apparently the heart of the movie.
and still in the
And
show. Aman Vellani.
and that's why I think fucking Miss Entitled is being a fucking little bitch about
Captain
it.
entitled.
Captain
Uh,
Entitled, not my bad.
because if you're going with because it's like Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel, we don't want to misconstrue that uh, Aman is not the issue. It's
No.
supposedly Brie.
Yeah. Which if you've
It's kind
watched
of like a
interviews with
track record. Yeah.
if you've watched interviews with her, she's a real butthead. Real butthead.
She thinks she's the cow's pajamas.
Yeah.
Is that the saying? Cow's pajamas? Something pajamas? I don't
Whatever. She thinks she's more.
know. She thinks
Yeah.
she's the bee's knees.
And I think that whatever. I don't want to get into it too much. Whatever. She's causing problems on the set, and it's delaying the movie, and it's really annoying. Like, bitch. Like if. Sorry, that's fucked up. Uh,
I don't want to cause
I
problems.
don't
Bitch!
don't
You
cut
said
it.
that?
Don't
You said
don't
that?
you
You
dare
said
cut
that
it.
though?
Yeah, yeah, bitch. Like if you have like a ego problem, whatever. Like keep that to yourself. There's like a source material and like fans and shit like that that's fucking getting you paid. Fucking table it and do your fucking job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like
Like
it kind of goes back to like Scorsese being like,
yeah.
"Oh, the it's not cinema, it's not real movies. They're not movie stars." And it's like these actors are movie stars, but when they're in a Marvel project, they're not. They are
Hmm.
playing like people aren't going to see Ant-Man and the Wasp because of Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Jonathan
Tell that to
Majors.
my girlfriend.
Like, I mean,
Paul Rudd, I'm there.
some people do, but like the fan base isn't. It's because they
Hmm.
care about the grand story. Because it's about the superheroes like Ant-Man and the
Hmm.
Wasp and Kang. Those are the stars, not the actors playing them. I mean, even go back to like Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man. Like, who doesn't love RDJ, right? You're,
Downey is a different breed. I don't
I
know if
mean,
you can.
he is, but like, it's not because of RDJ where you're like, I have to see this movie. It's because for the real fans, or not even the real fans, even the casual fans. It's because they care about the overarching story. If you want to
I
be a
see.
movie star, go do something that's worthy of making you a movie star, whether it's a
Mm,
standalone film or an indie project that you care about. Like, cool. I'll still support it if it's a good movie. But when it comes to like Marvel and superhero films, it's because the built-in fan base and the source material that people care. Like your ego doesn't have a place here.
hmm
RDJ worked because his ego matched his character.
hmm
Cap
John. I'm from Boston. Jan Favreau.
went to a
John
potty
John
with a
Favreau
car
uh
in the
fought
park.
for RDJ to play it, but we're whatever. What else we got here? We got a video game, Redfall. I
Mm.
sent this to you last night. or 2 nights ago.
I think it was yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. This fucking game looks insane. It's about like vampires, but like in a very Diablo-esque
Yeah. Like they're more
like
monsters than just like bloodsuckers.
oh my God, it looks so fucking good. I want to play it so bad. Um
Game comes out in May
yeah. Mm.
on next gen consoles. I hope it comes out on PC because I don't have next gen
I don't
Xbox.
either. Wait, do I?
No, you are one gen behind.
Fuck.
But depending on it, your computer might be able to handle it. Uh,
Come on, computer.
do something.
YOLO.
Do
Yeah,
something.
do math. And then what do we got about the Flash, Chad?
So, in recent Flash news, Tom Cruise, I guess, went to the
My
premiere.
boy.
Say what you want about Tom Cruise. He makes great selling movies, loves action, and has been in some very dramatic roles. And just overall appreciates a good film. I
Well,
mean,
he loves movies. That's what I love about Tom Cruise, because I can relate. He was in a interview and he was telling what are those guys, whether it was Jimmy Kimmel, Conan, Jimmy Fallon, whatever. He said he watches at least one movie that he's never seen a day. And I love that.
yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
He's just the dude is a movie nerd.
He's a beast. He's a beast.
And
But
he's
what
been in some incredible films, but back to the Flash. Do you want to take it from here?
nope, you go.
Okay. I just know how much you love Tom Cruise.
And I
Uh,
said my part.
I guess that he saw the Flash film,
Hmm.
whether it was at a premiere or if he got like a pre-release
Fan
screening
screening or something, yeah.
because he's fucking Tom Cruise. Who knows? But he loved the movie so much that he called the director personally to be like, good fucking job. This movie's incredible.
Yeah.
That creates some dissonance for us.
Hmm.
I mean, I trust Tom Cruise.
I
Except
wanna
for everything. In everything except for religion, because, like, fuck Scientology.
even though science is, probably
Yeah,
more.
but Scientology is based on science fiction. Literally
Mhm.
based on, like, a comic book author being like, oh, here's my religion.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. He makes incredible movies that are so enjoyable to watch that if he goes to a movie and it is like, I want to see that again and I want to applaud the people involved and then does it, fuck, man. Like, because, like,
The issue we have with it is
Ezra
fucking
Miller.
Ezra Miller. God damn it.
On
And
paper,
maybe
they are a piece of shit now.
yeah.
I used to love Ezra Miller. When I
Yeah.
found out that Ezra Miller was playing Barry Allen in the Justice League and had a cameo in Batman v Superman,
Yeah.
like, I was so
The
excited.
Perks of Being a Wallflower. I fucking love that.
It's
like
one of
top
my
10.
favorite movies.
One
Yeah,
of favorite movies, exactly.
it
Yeah.
might be top 5 for me
Yeah.
because I also
And
love the book, but
I had to expand my 5 from to a 10 because there's too many.
there's so
but-
many. And it's constantly changing depending on what conversation I'm having.
And I cannot wait to see this movie, but fucking fuck that dude. Him and Amber Heard should just fucking
Yeah.
put their faces in a puddle and drown.
Yeah.
I
And also knowing that none of it matters, except for the fact that this is revamping.
This is resetting.
Yeah, it's resetting everything for James Gunn's DC universe, which
This
we
is
have shit
Days
on.
of Future Past for DC.
And
It's gonna reset her thing.
and we've talked so much crap about it, despite the fact that we love James Gunn. We're just butthurt. and
I
we'll
just love Henry Cavill,
and
and
we'll get back into our butt hurtedness shortly. Um, but we've already taken a good amount of time to get here, so let's get into sponsor number one, which is Ray's Energy Drinks. Uh, Fantastic energy drinks, 0 calorie, 0 sugar, 0 crash. So many great flavors. And if you don't like energy drinks, they have things like protein packed pancakes, cake in a cup, protein cookie dough, supplements, pre workout, sleep supplements, all of that stuff. And there's a fair amount of it that is plant based, which is awesome for us as well when it comes to like their protein options. Uh, but yeah, listen up, learn how to save 15%. We'll be right back with you to talk about The Mandalorian. What's up, nerds? I wanted to take a minute and talk to you about Ray's Energy, an incredible energy drink that provides max energy with 0 crash. Ray's Energy takes a giant leap of faith with instilling a high quality formula to bring a powerful, yet sustained, energetic experience to help you push your workouts and focus to the next level. Perfect for anyone at any time, empowered by their refresh formula technology, Ray's Energy delivers a performance enhancing energy drink that aids in multiple different categories that include targeted focus, better recovery time, improved clean energy levels, and a boost in stamina and hydration. But most importantly, every can of Ray's Energy has absolutely 0 calories, 0 sugar, and 0 carbohydrates to give you a smarter and healthier option. So don't settle for an energy drink that contains more sugar and carbohydrates than you can count. Instead, head over to repsports.com. That's REPPSPORTS.com and use the promo code NERDPODCAST at checkout for 15% off your order. Or if you don't know what you want, go ahead and click the link that's in the description to get a $50 sample pack for free. All you do is you cover the cost of shipping. Again, make sure you use promo code NERDPODCAST at checkout to let them know that we sent you.
welcome back, friends. We are going to talk about Mandalorian Episode 3, Season 3, now streaming on Disney Plus. Before we get started, as always, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, tune out, tune back in. You got 3, 2, 1, you're fucked.
That's it,
Uh,
motherfucker. Taste the rainbow.
Unfortunately, this is the longest episode in Mandalorian history, and it is the most boring episode in Mandalorian history.
It is one of those almost every show, every season has one of these
Hmm.
where it's like a throwaway.
Yeah.
You know, they provide a little bit of backstory, like, oh, remember this character? Let's dive into that. Uh,
We'll probably see something or someone,
come from it.
you know, back, but it what they did was spend about
Your
half an hour
your average 37-minute episode
on somebody that could have been wrapped up in about 10 minutes.
on back and side
Yeah.
story, and then there's about 15 minutes of actual
Mando
Mandalorian.
stuff. Yeah.
Because it starts off strong. It picks up right where the last episode ended. You know, they're in the mines.
Yeah.
They leave. There's a fucking dogfight with
Hmm.
TIE fighters and all that, and it's fucking great.
It's epic for about 10 minutes.
And then Mando's like, I just sent you coordinates for a light speed jump. We're going someplace they'll never find us. And then it cuts to Coruscant. And you're like, smart. They're going to Coruscant. No. They're just on Coruscant to pursue like a side story. Dr. Pershing The one that wanted to experiment on Grogu in season one is supposedly rehabilitated to now work for the New Republic.
Fedra. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
Hydra? Shield. What's the difference? Um, and it just kind of like follows that. I mean,
Ruby Rose 2.0 is in it.
I find it hilarious though that they fired Gina whatever.
Gina racist bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh where she was a a strong female with a unique haircut and then they replaced her with a strong female with a unique haircut. That's gay. The actress that plays, I mean, we saw her in season 2. She was
Gina?
no, the other lady, the
Oh.
one with the short hair.
Yeah.
I forget the actress's name, and I'm not going to look it up right now. I'm really sorry. But she was in, I think, season 2. She was an officer for Moff Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been rehabilitated into the New Republic, and she's kind of like a spy for them. Of
Mm-hmm.
when other, she kind of like tests people that came from the Empire that want to reacclimate into the New Republic
Yeah.
to see how if they will fall back into their like sketchy ways.
Stormtrooper ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just find it super enjoyable that we had Gina, whatever her last name is. I always forget it.
Yeah.
Who is kind of like that strong. This is so not PC of me to say, like kind of like Butch, like personality, where like just like strong, abrasive. Like Butch isn't the right way to describe it,
She
but
wasn't she also in Deadpool, the first Deadpool movie? That's her.
she
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, she went off the hinges and was like,
I'm gonna say some racist shit.
let's
She fucking
screw being woke. It's like
yeah.
screw being like aware of other people that are less fortunate than you.
Yeah.
And
She Roseanne herself. Right out of
she
Disney.
oh, right out of Disney. And then so they gave like the spotlight to another actress that kind of like fit that mold of like a strong female character,
Yeah.
but isn't a piece of shit. I mean, her
Yeah.
character is not great,
A piece of shit, yeah.
but like the actress isn't,
Yeah.
which is
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's like that's how it should be. Like if your character's a piece of shit, so be it. If you play it well, awesome, even better. But
As
don't
a
be a piece of
famous
shit
person-
as a human. Like don't
As a
do that.
famous person, you have a platform and you can either platform for the
Bad.
right thing or you can be jobless. And I don't think she's going to be in anything anytime soon.
No, they kind of mentioned that she's just gone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was.
No, I meant in real life.
Oh,
Like I
yeah,
don't think yeah, she probably won't be famous ever again.
probably not.
So,
She can go back to the WWE,
Yeah.
maybe.
yeah.
Probably not though.
Yeah. Just put your fucking white sheet on and
Fuck
walk
off.
into the woods and never come back, please.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
for the parts of this episode that is actually about Mando,
yeah, it's like relevant.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Wrap it up. Wrap it up with the end. The end was relevant.
oh yeah, because then the place that Mando and Bo-Katan actually jump to through Lightspeed is where his Mandalorian covenant is. So they go to prove that he bathed in the waters, the living
Lake
waters.
Minnetonka. Yep.
Yeah. But also Bo-Katan was like, I was there. I witnessed it. I pulled him out of the waters.
Hmm.
And they're like, so you also bathed in the waters? Have you taken off your helmet? And she's like, no. She's like, then you're also now considered a Mandalorian
Yeah,
in
you're
our eyes.
redeemed. Yeah,
And she gets a lot of praise for it. And I think that
she doesn't want it.
it doesn't seem like it didn't seem like she cared at first. But when everyone was like giving her praise for it and
Mm.
like welcoming her, I think that she's going to not fully adopt like their way.
Well, this goes into my theory that she is going to be the one to uh ride the mythosaur or whatever,
Hmm.
and this will be her new clan because her original clan abandoned her after the events of, season
Season
2
two,
or
where she
whatever.
lost the
Yeah.
dark saber.
So I think this is going to be her redemption story, and I think that's dope and good
Yeah,
for her because I love Bo-Katan,
yeah,
even though she sat weird in her chair the
and
first episode
salt.
that we
She's
yeah.
like, meh.
Meh.
I don't like it.
Yeah,
But
I
no,
think it's gonna be cool.
yeah, I think that this is kind of I mean, truly like a rebirth and a new beginning for her.
Also, very small detail, but Grogu almost said his first words
Mm-hmm.
when Bo-Katan and um Mando
Din
Din
Djarin.
Djarin, fuck, I almost forgot it. Uh, say this is they take turns, take turns. Saying
Give
this
it
is the
back.
way, and Grogu spits out some gibberish, but
It's in the phrasing of like, this
yeah,
is the way. But
yeah,
like,
it was fucking
baby
adorable.
battle,
God, that thing is
babble,
so cute.
battle.
Yeah,
Baby battle would be intense, and also really boring at the same time. But baby babble,
it was cute.
it was adorable. Talk
Well,
about
that's it.
talk about Shazam. Let's talk because
Are we doing Shazam? No, I
yeah,
thought we were doing
nope, we're
sponsor.
going right into Shazam before we go into this next sponsor.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, I want to spend the most time talking about Shazam too, because you and I both, and everybody who is like us, who is mad about this transition between transition of power, if you will, in the DC universe. Uh, I thought Shazam 2 was going to be hot garbage. The reviews were bad. Uh, I thought maybe Warner Brothers was kind of just letting this one flop and then rebooting it. Fucking god damn it, this movie was so good. We just saw it. We saw it today together.
Yeah.
We went and saw it, and
So for
god,
everyone listening, we saw this over the weekend, but
yeah, it
go
was
watch it.
it was so good. It was really good.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
I'm not even and I don't want to sound like a jerk because whatever. I'm not even a Zachary
Yeah.
Levy,
Levi.
whatever. I'm not a huge fan of his. He's been in stuff that I like, but I've never been like, he did a really good job. You
Yeah.
know? This movie kicks ass. Like,
I
oh my
liked it
God, it
better
was
than the
so
first
good.
Shazam, and I
I think I
really
did too.
enjoyed the
Yeah.
first Shazam.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. When I saw the preview for it, and I was like, a dragon? Come on, this is gonna be so dumb. And he's like, I threw a truck at a dragon. I love my life. I was like, that's so cheesy. But when you actually see the movie, it's worth it.
Fucking
Like, it made
great.
sense. It was awesome. It
And
was
what
such
was
a
cool was it like elaborated further because like it's called Fury of the Gods.
hmm
The only like actual
spoiler alert, by the way.
yeah, the only gods that we've seen in the DCEU like really are from Greek mythology,
hmm
which is fine, and they elaborate on it.
Mm-hmm.
um, which was awesome. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Atlas. The villains are the daughters of Atlas. For those that
Mm-hmm.
don't know, Atlas is the one that holds the earth on the realm of man on his back. Where if you've ever seen statues or
Yeah.
pictures of like a Greek god holding a globe,
Like this.
yeah. Um, and first off, I mean the movie's fucking hilarious.
Super funny.
Laughed throughout almost the entire thing.
The action was
Really good.
really good.
There's emotional parts. I mean,
You cried,
I
you little
cr-
bitch.
yeah. Well, you deflecting, it's cool. Um, but yeah, I mean,
The
there's
the
a couple of
graphics
parts
were
where like
the
I teared
graphics
up.
and the
Yeah,
graphics were great.
yeah, the
The
CGI was
dragon
fantastic.
was yeah. Anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I mean we're just kind of
It's
like
not be all.
spitballing right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so much fun,
Mm,
and it
mm,
was like we mentioned, I think more enjoyable than the first one.
mm. Couple things. Let's see. Mary is the only character to not change. Everybody else is children, and as they Shazam, they turn into adult versions of themselves, not virgins, versions of themselves,
Well, I mean, if
which
they're
are all
virgins to
virgins.
start,
Yeah,
so I mean,
yeah.
it's
But the
still virgins.
Mary who plays Miss Marvel or whatever, Mary Marvel, I think is what she goes by in the comics. Uh, which is Billy Batson's love interest eventually. There's like
Ooh,
anyways, whatever.
gross, because they're like adoptive siblings. But
She does not change from her human self to superhero self. She's the only one that looks exactly the same, but costume.
I think that the only reason for that is because she is the only one that's actually an adult.
Yeah. Maybe because Billy is almost 18.
In 5 months.
He told Wonder Woman himself.
Yeah, which
There,
was cool because we thought that like those cameos were cut.
yeah.
The rumors were that all the cameos were cut.
Because there was supposed to be more cameos.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they cut the Superman and Aquaman were supposed to have cameos as well.
Oh, I
And
thought
they
that was
cut
in the Flash, not in this one.
yeah, they cut it. Which is dumb and fine. I get it, but whatever.
Yeah.
He definitely tried to put his P in the V on Wonder Woman. She wasn't having it.
Well, one of the times was a dream, but then he definitely did shoot his shot.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll be 18 in like 5 months. So like, what? And she's like,
She's like, nah, son.
she literally said like, stick to saving the world, kid.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of so I don't remember the name of the child. She's one of the Shazam family members, one of the Marvels. What? Uh, sorry, the Philly Fiascos. Um, early on in the movie,
Oh, the Skittles.
yeah, the Skittles. She like put Skittles in Mary's pants, and they went through the wash, and she's like, "Why'd you put Skittles in my pants?" She's like, "I thought it would be a nice surprise," and she's like, "It was a surprise, all right." But also, she was doing like a school project where she was showing like unicorns fighting the Greek gods instead of like the whole like story of the Titans and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then later we find out that unicorns are real, but they're actually like malicious, badass motherfuckers. but they still love sweets and stuff like that. So
They
she like
ambrosia, which is like
the nectar
the
of the gods is
if you
what it
ever
actually
watch
is.
Hercules or Xena the Warrior Princess, ambrosia was a big thing in there. But yeah.
And in just mythology, I mean, it literally is
So,
the nectar of the gods.
so the closest thing they could find to ambrosia was Skittles.
And that's what they use to tame unicorns, which are the greatest enemy to the Greek monsters like Cyclops, Banshees, Minotaurs,
Mhm.
all those things, which we get to see in this, which is kind of cool that it's so heavily influenced by Greek mythology,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun.
It's kind of funny because I was like, I leaned over to Nicole and I was like, that's a banshee. That's a whatever. That's a cyclops. And then you were like, you're talking about how they're all Greek, Greek. And I was like, yep.
And it was, I mean, it was fun. And then they, they're like riding through town because all but Billy Batson lose their powers at some point throughout the film. So they're all
Mhm.
back to like their kid forms and they're just trying to survive. And they're asking questions to what is the actual wizard's name? Jaman Hansu's character. Is he
Uh,
actually Merlin? Because
no.
they call him Merlin a couple of
No,
times
no,
just
no,
because they
no.
don't
No, no,
know what his actual name is.
no.
Uh, I'm gonna look that up really fast. I'm so sorry. Oh, this is taken.
There you go.
Oh,
Make
his literal character's name is just Wizard. Cool. I'm so glad I spent the time on that. That was great. Thanks,
yeah,
James Gunn.
that
No,
wasn't James Gunn.
no, I know, but I need to blame someone.
Oh,
But they're asking like, how do we defeat the wizards or the monsters? And he's like, you got to find their greatest enemy. And there's a sentient pen that they call Steve that has all of the knowledge of
Steven.
Steven. And he's the pen writes on the paper like,
He's basically a Ouija board. You ask
yeah,
him questions and he writes it on paper.
yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
how do we defeat them? Like, their greatest enemy. What's their greatest enemy? Unicorns. I'm like, okay. And then the wizard is like, oh, unicorns are nothing like your storybooks. They're not friendly. They're not happy creatures. They're the most violent things. And the girl that's like in love with unicorns is like,
Yeah. Megan Good's character, young character,
oh, it's Megan Good who plays the adult version.
the adult version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, she's like, how do we tame a unicorn? And Steve writes on paper like ambrosia.
Ambrosia.
It's like, what's ambrosia?
Skittles.
The nectar of the gods. And she's like, I have an idea. So they like tame unicorns with Skittles, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
There's a scene where like they're rampaging on the back of unicorns, and in the theater, mere seconds before it happens in the actual film, which brought me to tears because it was so fucking funny. They're riding unicorns. A unicorn spears a cyclops and just like throws him into a building. And in the back of the theater, you hear someone yell, "Taste the rainbow!" Because they're all like tamed by fucking Skittles. And then the very next scene, not even a minute later,
Like 10 seconds
yeah,
later.
the child version of
Megan Good's character.
Megan Good's character. Um, oh,
Keep talking.
her
Put your
name
phone down.
her name is Faith Herman.
Okay.
So it's like a 12-year-old child on the back of a unicorn, but instead of like white and glorious, like
It's like a
it's
black.
all black, like
Yeah.
demon-looking version of a unicorn. as they're running down the street, spearing monsters, just goes, "Taste the rainbow, motherfucker!" But it
Yeah.
cuts off before it like finishes it.
Before she hits that, you
The
are. Taste the rainbow, motherfucker. And
Yeah,
then it stops. Yeah.
and just the timing between someone in the theater yelling "Taste the rainbow" and then her being like "Taste the rainbow, motherfucker!" Like
Was amazing.
I lost my shit, and I
Yeah.
laughed so hard that I cried. Like I literally had to wipe tears off my face because I was laughing so hard. This movie surprised me
Hmm.
from start to finish.
Yeah. It was really,
We expected to go in there and be like, we got to see it, and then we're gonna talk shit.
yeah. We literally went to lunch before this movie, and while we were having lunch, we were talking about how Rotten Tomatoes and whatever had given it just a bad review, and we were like, whatever, we're gonna go watch it, and we'll just shit all over it in on the podcast. And halfway through the movie, at halfway point, I lean over to Chad and I go, "So we're not talking shit about this movie, right?" And he goes, "Nope."
Yeah, it was.
It was so good.
It was like it is up there for not only one of my favorite DC based films, but just like superhero films
It was a lot of fun.
that,
It was
especially
tons of
because it
fun.
very much.
Not talking about your mom. I'm just talking about the movie.
Sorry, mom. Uh,
Sorry, Tracy. It was a shot at Chad, not at you. Love you.
but it very much. I think that it was. This is something that not again. Well, I'm going to talk about Taika. Uh, this is what Taika Waititi would have wanted to do with Thor: Love and Thunder, where it's like overly hilarious and good.
Yeah. He just kind of
And
shit the bed with Taika and Thor: Love and Thunder.
he pushed it too far to where it wasn't that funny or that good. Cuz I mean this had so many pop culture references.
Mm.
I mean even like telling Helen Mirren's character Zachary Levi being like, I've seen all the Fast and Furious films, and I know that family means everything. Like, not only is that funny because we constantly make that joke about family and
Yeah.
but also like you pointed because I haven't seen the past couple.
Helen Mirren's
Helen Mirren's
in
in them.
Fast and Furious. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was so fucking good.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time on that, and we still have to get to our interview. Do you have any last things to say about this other than go see it?
Go see it.
Cool. Tell them about our next sponsor.
Next sponsor is, do you have it?
I do.
Our next sponsor is Crybaby Craig's Hot Sauce. It's a pickled habanero and garlic hot sauce that goes on practically anything. Listen up, we'll tell you more about it.
Hey, you nerds. Do you love spice? Supporting small businesses? What about enhancing the flavor of your favorite foods? If you said yes to any of those, our good friends over at Crybaby Craig's have the perfect solution for you. Crybaby Craig's is a pickled habanero and garlic hot sauce that goes perfectly with your favorite foods, adding the perfect amount of spice and enhancing the flavor of everything it touches. Started in Minneapolis by Craig back in 2012, Crybaby Craig's has become a Minneapolis and Minnesota staple in the sauce world. So head over to crybabycraigs.com and order yours today. All right, everyone, welcome back. So this week we are joined by a very awesome guest to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, both the game, the upcoming film, as well as the resurgence in popularity, and kind of touching base on some of the controversy that was tied to it in the most recent months. Well, without any further ado, let's bring on this week's guest. It is Dave Morris. And Dave, thank you for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. And
Dave,
before we get started, let's
yeah,
welcome you with a good old fashioned cheers in.
cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Ooh. All right, Dave, why don't you introduce yourself? And how did you get into D&D?
All right, my name is Dave Morris. I am currently a very active dungeon master for a couple campaigns ongoing right now. I recently just got back into the game like 2.5 years ago. I had played it when I was in high school and middle school, and back in the old editions, I actually just found some of those in my dad's attic, some of the old boxes from like 83 dates on the boxes, which even is, I think, too old for me, thankfully. Uh, but then a couple years ago, a friend reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing a kids game for my son and his kids online?" Because A, it was in the middle of the pandemic, and B, both my son and his son are on the autism spectrum, and it gives them a chance to kind of express themselves and do things they're not normally comfortable with limited consequences and stuff like that. It just helps their social skills. And there's actually been some studies that it's actually really helpful.
Awesome.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's awesome.
So shortly after that, I, met up with a mutual friend of Chad's, Alan.
Uh,
Alan was part of the group with his son, and then we kind of branched that off into regular adult games, and that's how we brought Chad in. We brought in. Now we have a group. When the next campaign starts, it's going to be 6 people.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that.
Oh yeah, I've got so much material written, drafted, ideas. It could fill this basement.
Because I mean that's more of like a homebrew instead of like going directly from a book, anything like that. The one that we're going to be starting soon.
Yeah, well, the setting is not mine. It's, the Eberron setting, which I didn't create or anything like that. But the whole adventure of the campaign is going to be all created by me.
That's awesome. I'm so excited. So you mentioned, a couple of years ago, you got back into it with, running the league for kids. I know that we have our main campaign as well as kind of our job board campaign. So how many leagues or games, depending on how you want to classify it, like are you currently a part of?
So right now it's three. I have the job board campaign, which is kind of my ode to Borderlands, tongue in cheek, lots of fun, high combat, low, role play, just lots of fun, dungeon of the week, kind of thing. I have our main campaign, which we're about to wrap up the first one. And then I have the Kids League, which is on hiatus right now, but we're talking about starting to pack up soon.
Okay, so all the leagues and games that you're currently participating in, you are the dungeon master for all of them.
Yeah, right now I am in the kids game. Originally, my friend Brian started off as the DM, and then he kind of got overloaded with work, so I took over. But he and I kind of go back and forth for the most part. But it's mostly been me running it. But the kids campaign has been like a pre-built module. It's not anything homebrewed. It's all out of a box.
Okay.
for for some of our listeners who maybe are not familiar with how the game works, would you give us a quick, you know, introduction into the game? Like, how does Dungeon Master work as opposed to someone who's playing or being a character in the game?
Sure. So, characters are, just that. They're your fantasy characters. I mean, the iconic ones would be the characters from Lord of the Rings, which is what D&D was inspired from originally. So you create your character. They're a dwarf, they're an elf, they're, a cat person, they're a robot. There are so many races now you can choose from. And then you pick, what your class is, what your main job is. Are you a fighter? Are you a wizard? Are you a thief? Are you a priest of some kind? So you pick that, and then you roll stats based on dice or pick them, build them, and you have all that plotted out for you on a character sheet. And then based on that character sheet, you roll usually just a D20 sided die to determine most of the things in the game. But the monsters that they fight and the people that they talk to and the maps that they come are all coming from my side of things. And that's what the dungeon master does. My job is not to tell their story, it's to facilitate it for them. So they want to go into a room. I tell them what the room looks like. I tell them what's in the room. And then if there's monsters, I control the monsters. I usually make some really bad voices. And then, we go through combat and stuff like that with weapons and, the whole shebang. And right now we do it all through online, through a site called Roll20.
Cool.
Money is such a great invention.
So if you're dungeon master, for a campaign, do you not get to play as well? Like as like a player, you're strictly dungeon master?
Yeah, I strictly am dungeon master. I sometimes bring along, an NPC, a non-player character to help them out at times, who I control and interact with. But there's there's been a lot of really talk about that in some of the forums lately of how what's called a DM NPC, which is a character controlled by the DM, and then they get too involved because the DM's like, I really want to play too, but then they take the focus off of everybody else, which is what I'm not supposed to do.
Gotcha.
So my fun is usually through challenging the players, making an encounter where they are, sweating, where they're worried if they're going to win or lose or fail,
Mm,
or coming up with just something really random and silly for them to encounter.
that's cool. So with there's like a new movie coming out. I'm sure you've heard of it or seen previews for it.
Yep.
Are you excited about the movie? Do you have any expectations out of it? And were you a fan of the movie from what was it, 2000 or 1999? Uh, if you know what I'm talking about, there was a movie, older movie that came out.
So that was the one with like Damon Wayans, was it?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah, that one was bad.
It was bad. It's so bad.
So I'm, cautiously optimistic about the new movie. With Chris Pine and the other, that's he's the only one I could think of off the top of my head. But I've heard they've actually taken a lot of the rules and source material to try to help shape the characters and inspire things a lot more. So that'll
Okay.
be curious to see how it's going. And the early reviews I've heard have, all come back pretty positive.
Oh, cool. I'm, I
I know
mean, I
that
haven't played, but I'm excited for the movie. I want to play. I just gotta get on with like if you guys ever do like a one-off. I like a
Oh, that's
one
the
and
job board
done
right
kind of.
there.
Was that?
The job board campaign is literally I run it like a Borderlands multiplayer where people can just jump in, jump out week to month to month. It's not fixed on a set number of people.
Ooh,
People play when they can and don't when they don't, and it doesn't affect anybody else.
that would be cool. Yeah, I definitely want to try it. Chad's always talking about how fun it is, and I know what it is, and I'm just like, fuck, man, I just don't. I can't commit the way you guys commit. So, but yeah, cool. That's good to know. I get okay. So with Stranger Things, obviously, Dungeons and Dragons has become way more popular than it used to be. Not that it wasn't popular back in back then, but now that Stranger Things has come out, do you think that has influenced you or just the popular? I know you kind of answered some of this already earlier, but has that influenced you to come back to the game at all, the show, or do you watch the show?
Uh,
Um,
I have watched it. I'm sad to say I haven't. I'm not all the way caught up on it. The
mhm.
the show my wife and I really enjoyed. We loved like season 1 and 2, but we haven't finished 3 or 4 yet.
Oh, nice.
So
Huh.
definitely, it's on our list of when the little guy's asleep because he probably give him nightmares. But no, definitely, I think Stranger Things definitely brought D&D back into the forefront in the common, popular culture, like the much more,
Yeah.
commonplace things, but that combined with the boom of streaming of live D&D games has
Hmm.
really pushed it even further into the forefront. And I think those live stream games between, companies like Critical Role and Dimension 20 have really pushed it even further.
Right on. Yeah, I love Critical Role. But kind of along those lines of things that are out there, like in the pop culture realm, that isn't truly inspired by D&D. What's kind of like your favorite non D&D project where it plays out like a D&D campaign? I know that obviously like Lord of the Rings because that's where the inspiration came from, but like what is your favorite, whether it's a TV show, movie, along those lines, where looking at the characters and like the adventures that they go on, where it feels like it should be a D&D campaign, but it's not actually based on D&D. Do you have a favorite?
Oh yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of movies and TV shows that come off that way. I think my favorite is probably the original Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which when you start when it's presented in that lens of this is a D&D group, everybody's just all of a sudden like, oh, oh yeah, that's the fighter, that's the assassin rogue, that's the artificer, that and it's just like, oh, and it just
That's cool. I never thought about that like that. I mean, yeah, they're a group of random people that come together to, work together. That's awesome. I never thought about that like that.
yeah. I mean, there's so many. What do you could look at almost any team dynamic show. The Bad Batch. That's another D&D group waiting to be turned into a campaign.
So can you turn, I mean, so you could, how do I word this? As somebody who doesn't play, you could essentially make like any group of any people a campaign. Like, so you could take like characters from like Star Wars, Avengers, shit like that, and make it a campaign, or is there like a source material that you guys use to like piece the story together? I don't know what I'm talking
You
about.
could really take inspiration for your campaigns from almost anywhere. I mean,
Okay.
one campaign that we're going to start in April that Chad's really excited about is actually the kickoff of it is inspired by one of my favorite comic series. So, comic books make great inspirations for it. Video games make great inspiration for campaign ideas. Same with movies and TV shows. Like there'll be things like it was on one of the recent episodes of The Bad Batch. They were, and I'm guessing you guys are caught up on it.
I am not. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that means Jake's not as well.
I got, I just, so my girlfriend is not quite as nerdy as I am, and I'm making her do that, and she hasn't watched, we just started watching like, oh, we finished all the Star Wars movies, and now we have to start going through the TV shows. So, um, it's been tough. I love her to death, but it's been tough.
Yeah. Well, there's a recent episode of The Bad Batch where they're going through these like mine tunnels and there's this puzzle they have to figure out. I was like, I so want to steal that for a campaign or an adventure idea. I was like, that puzzle is cool. So I'll be jotting ideas down all the time when I'm watching TV. It's like, oh, I want to use that, or I want to do that, or
So
um,
you actually write up the storyline that your campaign, when you're dungeon master, you write up the whole storyline that whole campaign is going to follow, like from start to finish.
I write up a whole series of ideas that I want to
Okay.
string together because any DM will tell you you have this plan that your players are what you want your players to go down to, and after about 10 minutes, they're going to go off. They're going to go do their own thing. You've got to, roll with that. And then if you can redirect them back, or they might take you down a new interesting path. You're like, you know what? Why not? Let's see where this goes. And so maybe I take the ideas that I have and I try to connect it in a different way.
So
So
you're changing your story as they're playing.
yeah,
Cool.
I mean, you have to adapt to a certain degree. I mean, yeah, there'll definitely be like moments that I want to have. That's like, all right, how do I shoehorn them to this scene?
Yeah.
But I don't want to force them to, go down a certain path. I don't want it to be a linear on rails, kind of thing.
That's funny. I've definitely heard stories from Chad about uh him and the guys getting a little drunk and just cowabungying the shit out of like a campaign. Is that frustrating for you as a dungeon master? Or is that part of the fun? If
It's
they
part of the fun.
if they derail from your storyline?
I mean, if you don't expect them to derail, then you're not playing. You're going to have a really frustrating time. You're not going to have as much fun. I mean, I had in the recent job board, and Chad will test this. I was like, all right, I'm going to give these guys a Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One moment, and they almost all died because they're like, oh no, we'll be fine.
It was
And then
bad.
Vader showed up, and they're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so this one I'm gonna have to read because chat it's long and I won't remember it all. So, uh, I told you in the beginning we were gonna ask you a question about Vox Machina. So, with Vox Machina by Critical Role, what do you think about the news of Critical Role signing a large deal with Amazon for more shows? Also, for our listeners, explain what it is known for, as far as the deal and what we can expect from it.
I'm personally very excited for the new deal that Critical Role has with Amazon and producing more shows. So the Vox Machina, seasons 1 and 2 are all taken almost scene for scene from their original first campaign that they did on Critical Role.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've edited some of it out, and most places it makes sense why they edit out what they did. They had to edit out a certain character who we don't talk about. Uh, and then we had to go, and they've done a really good job of translating that. And so I think it's been really good for as a whole because it just shows that, a D&D story, which is, almost similar to a video game story in a lot of ways, can make really good entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's done in the right media. I think cartoons and animation do it especially well because you have a lot more freedom and you can, do the spell effects and all that other stuff a lot easier than you could do, in a live action setting. So with Critical Role now they're going to bring in their second show based on their second campaign coming up, which is good. And for those who don't know Critical Role, they're self-described a bunch of nerdy ass voice actors, and they are all top tier voice actors who do big projects of many Overwatch and a lot of the anime dubs. They do those like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. One of the main characters is that.
And Ashley Johnson, who plays Pike in the show,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we reference her at least for the past like couple months weekly because we're talking about The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, almost everybody on there has done some pretty high caliber voice acting work and stuff. I mean, Matt Mercer, who's their DM, is probably the most famous of them. I mean, he's McCree in Overwatch. And he does
Matt Mercer, as in like also played Caliborn in Logan and stuff like that. That Matt Mercer.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he was the DM.
Yeah.
Matt Mercer.
Yeah, I mean, he does so many different voices. It's insane. And then he brings that, and they bring their voice acting skills to the show. I mean, when I first started watching their first campaign, there was two of the cast who I thought they were British because they never broke character on their voices, and they just always talked with their British Elven accents.
Ooh, Vex and Vax, I'm assuming.
Yep. Yeah. And for like the first
Wait, they're not British.
10 shows, first 10 shows, they never broke out of that voice, even when they were talking like amongst themselves.
Oh, that's one thing that I love about this game, and one thing that haven't allowed myself to like fully dive into, but I plan to in our next campaign is actually like role playing instead of just like being Chad controlling this person.
Yeah, it's hard. And Chad, you'll test this. I try to do as much voice acting as I can. Some come out better than others. I'm horrible at doing women's voices, but I've done a couple that I think have turned out really well.
If you don't want to, you don't have to, but could we get any examples?
Well, the problem one is Bog's the goblin.
I
He
was
always
about to say,
talks like
give
this, and
Bog.
it's just a high pitched, kind of squeaky voice.
Love it. I love it.
Bog's my favorite. He's so great.
But but those are actually like tough to maintain. And then I've honestly taken inspiration from Critical Role and some of their characters and made homages to them and other ones. Like there's one who is the Cajun slow talking turtle, uh, who talks like this a little bit, and so. But it takes a lot of work and a lot of commitment and a lot of liquid because that bog voice I'll be hoarse the whole next day.
So one of the things that uh you and I, Dave, had kind of talked about before actually setting this up for you to come on the podcast was to talk a little bit about the controversy around like Dungeons and Dragons and Hasbro in the recent months. Um, can you recap kind of where it started, where it's currently at, and what you think that means for the future of the game and sites and creators like Roll20, D&D Beyond, as well as, giving way for more popularity for things like Pathfinder and like homebrews and stuff like that? Because I know that Hasbro backpedaled quite heavily.
Oh, like completely.
Okay. Yeah. Give us the rundown.
All right. So a bit of it starts off with a history lesson. So back when Dungeons and Dragons was in their third edition or their updated third edition, which you sometimes hear called 3.5, they published something in 2000 called the Open Gaming License, which is this document that says, hey, as long as you cite, that you're using this open gaming license, here's a big PDF of what we call our standard reference document, and you can use anything from here as long as you cite that you're using the open gaming license, which was literally just you put this page in your work, and then you could publish it, sell it, and do whatever you want, and you owed Wizards of the Coast absolutely nothing. Which was phenomenal, and it grew the game by leaps and bounds. And then when Wizards published fourth edition, they did something different called a game system license, which was not open. You would have to pay to license and do royalties and everything, which was poorly received by pretty much everybody, including the publisher of their magazine called Paizo. And so Paizo said, well, we're just going to take the open license from the last edition and create our own game. And they created a game called Pathfinder, which for a long time, Pathfinder was actually more popular than Dungeons and Dragons. So, that got the third edition. And then Wizards realized when they were getting outsold, they're like, hey, we need to backpedal. So then when they came out with fifth edition pretty quickly after fourth by, relative standards, they they updated the open gaming license to include stuff from fifth edition. And so you're like, all right. And then fifth edition took off. I mean, fifth edition is by far the most popular edition of Dungeons and Dragons by leaps and bounds, because it's a relatively easy system to understand and adapt without, losing too much complexity. And so it was doing well. I mean, fifth edition, I want to say that came out in like 2014, roughly. And so everything was going really well, and then in late 2022, early 2023, Hasbro came along and said, hey, we're going to revise this license, and we're not going to make it open anymore. And so all of a sudden, all these big third-party companies and everybody who was using the own gaming license was wondering what the hell is going to happen. What are we going to do now that we would have to pay potential royalties of like up to 25% on gross revenue, not even net? So some companies might have ended up losing money instead of breaking even on their products because of this potential, they were still calling it open, but it really wasn't. This new license agreement that they had apparently sent out to third party publishers with a contract to sign, even though they were calling it draft. So that pretty much caused the entire community to go into a massive uproar. And all of a sudden, all these third party companies started saying, well, you know what? We're just going to do our own games now. We're going to create our own systems and take what we can from D&D that can't be copyrighted in terms of like game mechanics, like rolling a d20 and having strength and dexterity can't be copyrighted. Most of the game mechanics can't be copyrighted. The only thing that really is copyrighted by Wizards is some of their monsters and stuff like that, like a Mind Flayer or a Beholder are Wizards of the Coast trademarks. But now you have third parties like Cobalt Press and other big ones who are like, you know what, we're making our own versions now. And people were starting to cancel their D&D Beyond subscriptions. They lost something like over 40,000 subscriptions in a boycott Wizards campaign based off of all of it, which is something like minimum $6 a month per subscription. Yeah. So it's almost $250,000 a month potential lost revenue. To the point where they finally came back at the beginning of February and said, you know what? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're taking everything that's currently 5th edition and we're putting it under common control or common court. So it's all now public documents. So the stuff from 5th edition and older is now pretty much under public control and legal arguments and can't be, touched by Wizards to force people to pay revenue anymore. Going forward, because they are currently playtesting their next edition of D&D. They're calling it 1 D&D. Most people are thinking it's basically a revised version of 5th, but I expect that to have another closed license where you have to pay to run the updated version versus just playing the current 5th edition, which you'll be able to play for free and create your own stuff for free in perpetuity.
Okay. So it sounds like Wizards, which I'm assuming is owned by Hasbro, because Hasbro like is stuck in my mind as like being
part of Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, which is ironic because Hasbro needs Wizards, but Wizards doesn't need Hasbro because they made like $1 billion last year.
Good for them.
Yeah.
But also like, don't ruin it for everyone. But so it sounds like they like backtracked enough to kind of like stop the boycott, but like moving forward, it still seems pretty uncertain as to whether or not they're going to go forward with like open licenses, if it's going to continue, or if this is going to be closed. And it might still like push forward, third party creators. But I mean, what do you see happening in the near future with this?
So yeah, they backpedaled. I think because the PR disaster that it was just too much for them to bear. They knew they couldn't get out of that, even saving face remotely. So they did the best they could, which was, all right, we're going to cut our losses on 5th edition and say, all right, that's free and clear. We're not going to touch that. But I would, like I said before, I think going forward, every new edition of Dungeons and Dragons is going to be under a more closed license. But that doesn't stop people from creating their own games based off of 5th edition, and which is what Pathfinder was. Pathfinder took 3.5, tried to fix a lot of the errors and rules problems that they had, and then go forward from there. And so I expect companies to basically kind of do similar things to 5th edition. Cobalt Press is working on their current one the project called Black Flag, where they released one test document, which is not much, but it's basically going to be their version of, a revised version of 5th edition. So they're taking what they like from 5th edition and then trying to tweak it for the better going forward. And that's where I see a lot of the third party stuff going forward. Is it's going to be just revised, updated versions of 5th edition or updated versions, because I think even Paizo is doing their own open license now with their Pathfinder system. And Pathfinder 2E is an even more streamlined version than the original Pathfinder, thank God.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, where could where could people go if for people like myself who are not haven't played, where's a good place to start? Um, where can people go to learn more? Um, and oh God, sorry, I'm reading.
Yeah.
And do you have any like closing uh notes that you would like to say to, anybody like myself and people, our listeners?
All right, so good places to go. Honestly, some of the subreddits for Dungeons and Dragons are pretty positive communities, which is, probably an oxymoron to have say positive subreddit. But in particular, the one for the area I'm looking at for called Eberron, the subreddit there is actually one of the best I've ever seen on Reddit. Period. Uh, but then there's websites like I mentioned previously called Roll20, which is an online um, tabletop system where you can play and you can just go out there and create an account on there for free and go, hey, I'm looking to play a game, and you can just search and find a game you might be able to join. And a lot of the people on there are really helpful, and you can buy the books there and read it up, and even create a little sandbox game for yourself if you want to just play around and see how the system works and what the rules, how they interact. D&D Beyond's not a bad one, but unfortunately it's owned also by Wizard/Hasbro, so it's gotten a lot of negative feedback lately. But those are probably Roll20 is really good. The Reddit's are really good. I mean, you can do some really easy Google searches and find, good articles about D&D and where to start. Good campaign ideas. I mean, there's one adventure out there called The Lost Mines of Fandalver, which is free to play, free to download, and it's actually a really solid place to start for anybody who'd want to start a campaign.
Heck yeah.
Right?
Well,
Fantastic.
yeah. I mean, we'll probably, I don't know, unless Chad has anything else, like where can, I guess, people find you online if any of our listeners wanted to reach out to you?
So probably the best place to find me online would be on Twitter. I have, David Morris, which is at Nutcase168, which is an old handle I have from my college days. It's probably the most common place to find me, especially if you want to talk D&D and stuff like that. I have the same name, I think, actually or I use that email that, for Roll20, so I can be found pretty easily that way too.
Okay.
And I'm happy to talk anybody's ears off about D&D.
He's not lying. I have gone to Dave for like, hey, what about this? And then I leave with it's like watching Lost when it was still streaming and no one knew how it was going to end. You would go in with like one or two questions and leave with like four or five. Like he's a fantastic resource, and what I know about the game uh, is one dwarfed by what Dave knows, but also you go to him with questions, you're gonna leave with more information than you thought and like six more questions. So definitely, if this is something that people are interested in, check it out. And once we finally get Jake into a campaign, we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, do you have any final parting words for anyone that likes D&D, that wants to start D&D? Any advice or final words for fellow nerds?
Well, I would say a couple things. One, if you want to find more information, D&D Beyond does have some free text and everything that you can read, and so does Roll20. You can go on there, create an account, and look at like the standard rules and everything on how to create things. And then there's, like I said, free adventures you can download, and they give you descriptions of the characters and stuff like that, so you can see how a character is built and everything. So it gives you a good layout of how things are going to go, and they give you examples in the books. So that's always a great resource. The other thing, and a lot of people, and like the videos all about this, have also stressed with all the negative blowback against Hasbro, is that there's a team out there whose job is to build the next edition of D&D, and there's a face. His name's Jeremy Crawford and everything. And it's just like you got to remember to separate that he has absolutely nothing to do with the whole gaming license side of things. His job is to design the next game, and the designers and everybody, they're from what I've read and heard, they're all really nice people. They're just doing their job, working on the next D&D edition, trying to make it the best that they can. So don't take out all the shitty stuff that Hasbro did on them.
Well, Dave, it's been great having you on the show. We really appreciate it. And we can't wait. Well, I can't wait for our campaigns. And
yeah, I got to see if you're going to live through this big final battle.
Yeah, I probably not, but we'll see. But thank you for being a part of the show, and we appreciate you being a part of the All Things Nerd podcast.
Yeah, great being on here. Thanks for having me.
Well, Dave, thank you for the fun interview. I will personally be playing Dungeons and Dragons because I want to try it at least. That was a lot of fun.
So is D&D. I think you're gonna love it.
What you cut out? Sorry.
Oh, I think that you're gonna love playing D&D as
You
well.
think so?
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, I think we'll give it a shot and see if it's, for me or not. But before we thank you, Dave, for the interview. That was a lot of fun. We appreciate you being on the show. We are going to close out this episode, but before we do, Chad, honorable mentions.
Honestly, my honorable mentions are kind of boring this week because they're the same as last week.
Porn.
Haven't been. We haven't been. I haven't been watching. There's no one else here. The we is me and my dog. Haven't really watched anything new and exciting or turned back to for anything like that. So it's just been the new episode of Shrinking came out, which was great. Watched that over the weekend. And then I'm almost all the way through the first season of Severance.
Nice.
Which is fantastic. And it got way more fucked up than with the first couple episodes were. So I'm excited to finish that. I'll probably finish the last episode tonight after we're done with this. What about you? What do you have for honorable mentions?
Same as you. Shrinking is a big one. Ted Lasso. And then we have been making our way through the Scream movies. We just finished Scream 3, which had a surprising amount of cameos in it. Carrie Fisher has a cameo in it, and Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes as Jay and Silent Bob also have a cameo in it, which was pretty cool. Other than that, did I have anything else? I feel like I had something else. No?
I don't.
Right on.
I don't know.
No.
I didn't write it down, so I don't know. Did you?
I think that's it. Yeah, no, those things. It's fun. I'm excited to. I know for a fact that I am not a huge fan of Scream 4, but Scream 5, which is the most recent one that came out, I did like with Jenna Ortega and oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Who plays Billy Loomis? What's his name? The guy from Jericho. Come on, help me out, bud.
From Jerk. Oh, that's. I want to say Josh Jamal, but that's
No,
not. That's not.
What is his name? It's gonna drive me crazy.
Oh, you said it was
Billy Loomis. Let's see.
5.
Skeet. Ulrich. Skeet Ulrich. Ulrich.
Oh, okay.
You know who I'm talking about?
Nope.
Right on. Anyways, that guy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I had to see a picture of him before I was like,
fuck.
oh, that guy.
But I know in Scream 5 they bring his character back into play. And so the new Scream movie is in theaters now, and I would really like to go see it. But got to get through a couple more.
You
What?
just see a tail fucking
Oh, yeah. She's being a butt.
just like a Jurassic Park. We always talk about that off camera,
Yeah.
like the raptors running through the tall grasses.
Yeah. Um, hey, get out of the garbage, you little bitch.
Jake, what should all of our listeners do if they're still listening at this point in time?
Give us your money. Show me the money.
Yes.
We need it. We want it. It's my money. I
I
want it.
want it now.
Give it to me.
No, if our listeners like what we're doing and you want to support us, the best way to do it is to go to buymeacoffee.com/allthingsnerd. You can subscribe on a monthly basis. Oh, what a cute puppy. You'll get to see more of Jake's puppy, and you can also see my puppy, I suppose, if you really want to. She's not a puppy. She's almost 6 years old.
Yeah,
But
she's almost dead.
hey, it's going to break my heart when that happens.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, but you get to see both of our in-home terrorists, and like full unedited interviews. So if you liked the interview with Dave and you want to hear more of it, you'll get to see that as well. It's also just a great way to support us. You get some behind the scenes footage, extra content, as well as exclusive merch that is not up on our web store, which I did not update over the weekend like I was supposed to, but you still get a lot of merch that no one else can just buy, which is pretty cool. If you don't want to give us your money on a monthly basis, you can just go to our web store, which is allthingsnerdpodcast.com, buy some shit. It all supports us, and we don't pocket anything.
Not yet.
There's even people behind the scenes that work for free that don't get any of that money either, because as of right now, everything we get goes right back into the podcast. And if you don't want to give us your money, I mean, lame, but you, you can just like, subscribe, share, tell people about it. That actually helps a lot.
You get cool shit if you give us money.
It's
Like
true.
yeah.
And we gave you two different ways to give us money, where you get cool shit with both of them. So do that first, and then like, share, and subscribe. That also is cool.
If you don't want to give your money, we still love you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in. You guys are the best. Without you, we would still do this, but we would have no listeners. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And having you here just makes it more fun. So we appreciate you. We love you. And this has been the All Things Nerd Podcast.